When Mordecai and I would go through the scrolls written by Daniel, I was amazed at how close he was to God and at the detailed visions he was given. Looking back now, his writing very accurately predicted the history of the Gentile empires that ruled and reigned in the Middle East before Messiah and beyond. My name is Hadassah, but you know me as Esther, the queen of the Persian Empire. I have been asked to share with you all I know about this beloved prophet of the people of Israel. In Daniel's later years, we find him living and working as a top administrator in the Persian Empire. What a miracle! God had previously promoted him to chief of the wise men in Babylon Empire, and now he had also risen to a position of influence as one of the top 3 officials in the Persian Empire as well. Remember the story of Daniel being thrown into the lion's den? He survived the plot to take his life by those envious of his position, remaining loyal to Yahweh all the while. He happily watched as the Jewish exiles were allowed to return to Judah and Jerusalem to rebuild the temple, and in his 80s he received even more visions and prophecies that were to be recorded for Yahweh's holy book. The first of these latter visions is recorded in chapter 10. It was in the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, now 2 years after he had last heard from the angel Gabriel. The scroll reports that Daniel was in mourning for 3 full weeks. He was partially fasting and was with a group of men who were also praying by the Tigris River. Why was he mourning? Daniel had had a new vision which he did not understand, and it had made him sorrowful and taken his strength. He wanted to know what would happen to his people, Israel, in the later days. The others wanted to know too. Here we go. He lifted up his eyes and saw a man in linen. His face was like lightning, and he had eyes of fire. His voice was different, like the voice of a multitude. No one but Daniel saw the vision, but at the moment the man in linen appeared, the scripture says a terror fell upon the other men, and they ran to hide. Who was this angel? He is not named, so we don't know. Could this man have been the Christ? The question has been debated for the ages. See what you think. Daniel was also afraid and fell with his face to the ground. Suddenly, a hand touched him, and the man in linen said to him, "O beloved Daniel, stand up. Don't fear." What happened next gives us an amazing glimpse into the spiritual world, a dimension beyond our sight. So much is going on in the heavenly realm that we cannot comprehend. Speaking directly to Daniel, this angel went on to explain that he would have arrived just after Daniel and the men had started to pray, but he had been battling the prince of Persia, a powerful fallen angel who had dominion over the Persian Empire, for 21 days, and finally Michael, the prince of Israel, a holy angel, had come to help him in the battle. This angel in linen had been sent by Yahweh to help Daniel understand the vision, which was for many days yet to come. As he spoke, Daniel became less fearful and became stronger. The angel went on to reveal to Daniel that he could be with him only a short time. He had to return to battle the prince of Persia, and following that, the prince of Greece. The battle was difficult, he confided, because he had no one helping him except Michael. He reassured Daniel that he had been there all along, confirming and strengthening Darius to Daniel's benefit. Then the angel went on to explain what would happen to our people, the Jews, in the future. There would be 3 more kings of Persia, and then the 4th, my husband Xerxes, would stir up a conflict with Greece. Xerxes was a very powerful king. He trained over 2 million warriors for 4 years, built special barges, and attacked Greece in 480 BC. This battle began a feud between the Persians and Greeks that lasted for many years. However, this particular prophecy, given in detail, was not about the current empire of Persia, but was focused on the 3rd kingdom, Greece, represented by the bronze belly and thighs of Nebuchadnezzar's statue. Greece was also symbolically represented by the leopard with 4 wings in the vision of the 4 beasts, and also the goat with 1 large horn in the vision of the ram and the goat. In each of Daniel's visions, more and more details are revealed regarding different periods of time. Remember that eventually, in 334 BC, Alexander the Great, from Greece, who was a mighty king, ruled with great dominion. He conquered the known world at that time, including the Persian Empire. After his death, the kingdom was divided into 4 parts, and 4 of his generals each took a section to rule. One of these generals, Ptolemy, ruled over Egypt, Cyrene, Arabia, and Petra. Another, named Seleucid, ruled Syria and the lands to the east, all the way to India. The other 2 generals were given Asia Minor, Macedonia, and Greece. Now this new prophecy given to Daniel goes on to tell what would happen between these generals, particularly Ptolemy, the king of the south, and Seleucid, the king of the north. Daniel's vision, recorded in chapter 11, is a detailed account of the ongoing conflict between these 2 dynasties for over 150 years. I will leave you to read it for yourself. Upon examination of history, years after the fact, this prophetic scenario was fulfilled in amazing detail. In fact, in chapter 11, verses 5 through 35, there are 135 prophetic statements. All of them came true. During this time, the great library in Alexandria was built, and the Hebrew scriptures were translated into Greek, which was called the Septuagint translation. This back and forth between the Ptolemies and the Seleucids went on until finally Rome defeated them both. Near the end of this conflict between the Ptolemies and the Seleucids, the little horn from the vision in Daniel chapter 8 appeared on the goat that represented the Greek Empire. Remember, there was the large horn, Alexander, and then the small 4 notable horns, the 4 generals. Then, out of one of the notable horns came a little horn, which grew exceedingly great to the south, the east, and Israel. This horn, or ruler, can now be identified as the king of the north, from the Seleucid, or Syrian dynasty, named Antiochus Epiphanes. He took the throne in 175 to 164 BC. Now, right about now, you may be yawning and wondering, why do we care? All scripture is important, and this passage is no exception. Old Testament prophecy is usually fulfilled twice. This man clearly models a type of the Antichrist. By studying him, we can observe his habits and behaviors that may help us identify this coming world leader as he emerges in the last days. What are some of his behaviors? Let's see. He gained the throne through many intrigues. His method of warfare was different, unlike his father's. He robbed the richest places under his control. Because his father had been defeated in battle by the Roman Empire, he was required to give up any claims to land in Europe or Asia Minor. He was forced to pay heavy tribute to the Romans. Where would he come up with the money? He took it out on his own people, plundering the temples found in the remaining parts of his lands, including Israel. Not only were the people in Judea taxed to pay tribute to Rome, he polluted the sanctuary, took away the daily sacrifice, and placed the abomination of desolation in the Holy of Holies. Talk about the ultimate cancel culture. He corrupted the enemies of the Jews living in the area with flattery and falsely engaged them to turn against God's people and customs. Here are a few more. Antiochus attacked his enemies when they least expected it. Because his empire was shrinking, he decided to try to take the pride of Egypt, the city of Alexandria. When he arrived, he discovered the Romans were already there, waiting for him. Turning back north, he camped once again in Judea and took out all of his aggression on the people of Yahweh. About this time, Daniel records the people that know Yahweh will be strong and carry out great exploits. And those of the people who understand will instruct many. Yet for many days the people of God will fall by the sword and flame, by captivity and plundering. That when the people fall, they will be aided with help, but the so-called help will be a deception. God allows some of them to fall because he wants to refine and purify them and make them holy until the time of the end. This is a clue that hints that this prophecy will be fulfilled again in the last days. Daniel's vision is clearly speaking of the Antichrist in the last days as well. Then this king, Antiochus, or this king, Antichrist, shall do according to his own will. He will exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, speaking horrible things against Yahweh, and will be allowed to prosper until the end of the wrath, or the tribulation. The time has been set, and it will not be altered. The satanic ruler shall not regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women. Instead, he will honor a God his fathers did not know, a God of fortresses. He will honor this God with money, with gold, silver, jewels, and other pleasant things. He will act against the strongest fortresses with the help of a foreign god, and he shall work to advance this false god's glory. He shall rule over many and divide the land for gain. This prophecy goes on to describe the time of the end. A king will rise up from the south and attack the Antichrist, who is symbolically the king of the north. There will be a great battle with weapons and ships, and Antichrist will enter many countries and take them militarily, even Egypt, but not Edom, Moab, and Ammon. He will take all the treasure of Egypt, Libya, and Ethiopia. Rumors of opposition about to come from other parts of the world will make him even more furious and destructive. In the final chapter of Daniel's holy book, the prophecy about the end time continues. I just love the beginning of that chapter. At that time, Michael, the great prince, will stand up. The power in that verse gives me chills. There will be such a time of trouble that Israel has never seen since they have been a nation. The Great Tribulation. At that time, Israel will be delivered. Anyone who has their name written in the book. The Old Testament saints will be resurrected, some to everlasting life and some to everlasting contempt. The wise will shine like bright stars forever and ever. Daniel, who was awestruck by the vision, was told to seal up the vision until the time of the end. At that time, many will run to and fro, and knowledge will increase. I see you all, in your day, flying in planes and driving in cars, going to and fro on the earth now. And knowledge? With the internet, satellites, and computers, knowledge has exploded. Could the time be coming soon? Daniel looked again at the riverbank, and there were 2 more men there, one on each side of the river, and the man in linen, my guide, was above the waters. One of them asked the man, "When will this vision be fulfilled?" The man in linen lifted up his arms to heaven and swore by Yahweh that it shall be for a time, times, and half a time. And when the power of the holy people, Israel, was completely shattered, all would be finished. Daniel looked up and admitted he heard what was said, but had no clue what it meant. Upon asking for clarification, the angel told Daniel to go on his way. Some things would not be revealed until the time of the end. However, he did tell him a few more things. Many of the people in the end times will be purified, made white, and refined, but the wicked will be very wicked. There will be a division between the wise and the wicked in those days. The wise will understand, but the wicked they will not. Bible scholars over the eons tell us that time, times, and half a time means 3.5 years, the time of the Great Tribulation. Here is the final clue. From the time that the abomination of desolation is set up by the Antichrist in the temple in Jerusalem until Christ returns, there will be 1,290 days, 3.5 years, plus 30 days. Blessed will be the man who waits till the end, another 45 days. Daniel was then told to go his way. All of this would happen long after he died. His end was secure till the time of the end. He would rest and rise to his inheritance at the end of the days. I, Esther, was encouraged by these words. Yahweh already had planned the end from the beginning. Nothing was a surprise to him. Even in difficult times, God would be with his people, giving us understanding and promising to deliver us. Daniel was a mighty man of God, who was an example to us all. His love for Yahweh never failed, from his youth through his death, through captivity, slavery, and hardship. Daniel persevered during persecution and success, through power and loss. He spoke God's truth and fulfilled God's mission for his life. He led a life that earned him the title, Greatly Beloved One. Oh yes, what happened to Antiochus Epiphanes? Under Judah Maccabee, led a military revolt and took back the city and the temple. It was cleansed and rededicated. The Jewish people today celebrate this victory on Hanukkah, or the Festival of Lights. At the end of days, Antichrist too will be defeated by Jesus Christ himself, and our Messiah King will come to rule and reign on the earth.